Bowers and Wilkins, also known as B&W, is a British company specializing in the design and manufacture of loudspeakers and headphones. Bowers and Wilkins was founded by two British Army colleagues, John Bowers and Roy Wilkins. While serving in the Signal Corps, they became friends through a shared love of radio electronics and decided that after the end of the war, meaning the Second World War, they would open a store for radio hobbyists in Worthing. The store, which opened in 1945, quickly gained popularity and soon its range included not only radio parts but also components for televisions. Peter Robinson joined the company and the store began offering equipment rentals. Another Peter, Hayward, who had recently joined the company, started a service department. As the business expanded, the store began supplying voice announcement equipment to schools and churches in Sussex, which led to Bowers becoming heavily involved in the design and assembly of loudspeaker systems. His designs were of high quality and he set up a small assembly line at the back of the store. In 1966, Bowers established a separate company to manufacture loudspeakers, B&W Loudspeakers Limited, leaving the management of the store to concentrate on loudspeaker design and manufacturing. In 1967 the first commercial Bowers and Wilkins system, the P1 model, was introduced. This system was a large floor-standing loudspeaker for which the cabinet and filter were designed at Bowers and Wilkins and the speakers were sourced from EMI and Celestion. The profits from sales allowed Bowers to purchase equipment for measuring and calibrating the speakers, a frequency generator from the Danish company Radiometer and a pen recorder. The generator was used to create frequency signals, and the pen recorder was used to record these signals on paper so that they could be analyzed. In this way, Bowers and Wilkins was able to provide calibration certificates with the loudspeakers. The next step in B&W's development was a range of affordable home loudspeakers, the DM1 and DM3 models, where DM stands for Domestic Monitor. This line has undergone many changes, but its concept, combining affordability with signature sound quality, has been kept and realized in the 600 series. It was launched in 1968, the same year the company entered the world market, becoming available in the Netherlands through distributor AudioScript. In 1969, Dennis Ward, who had previously served as technical manager at EMI, the company whose speakers B&W used in its first loudspeakers, joined the company's board of directors. At the same time, Paul, son of John Bowers, began working at B&W. In 1970, Sony Japan began introducing B&W products in Japan, including the P2 loudspeaker, which had the same cabinet as the P1 but was equipped with an Ionovac plasma tweeter for high frequencies. In 1970, B&W decided to move to a complete loudspeaker production cycle. Previously, the company had been using speakers from other brands, building only its own filters and enclosures. The first model with completely custom-made components was the DM70, in which the section for mid-range and treble was housed in a separate enclosure above the base module. With its eye-catching rounded dual cabinet design, this model won the British Industrial Design Award and received favorable press reviews, leading to successful sales overseas. As production expanded, a new factory building opened in 1972 on Meadow Road in Worthing to house anechoic chambers and measuring equipment from Brüel and Kjaer. In this building, engineers studied frequency response linearity, FRL, and the physical parameters of the speakers, including their shape, using laser interferometry. At the same time, the company released another model in the DM series, the DM2, which featured an atypical three-way design. Instead of the traditional woofer mid-range arrangement, this speaker had an 8-inch driver that simultaneously reproduced bass and mid-range frequencies, with two separate drivers serving as a tweeter and super tweeter, respectively. The woofer was tuned to work with the transmission line. And the treble was reproduced by a third-party driver, the Celestion HF1300. A year later, in 1973, B&W developed monitors for the BBC studios. Kenneth Grange, co-founder of Pentagram and a renowned British designer, was most responsible for the development of Bowers and Wilkins' visual style. He began working with the company in 1974 to design loudspeaker enclosures. The first model designed in partnership with him, the DM6, was released in 1976. This loudspeaker was unique in many ways. It was one of the first phase-coherent audio systems, which influenced its design. All the drivers used in this model were designed and manufactured by B&W itself. It was the first system in the world to use a Kevlar diaphragm driver, a 6-inch mid-range driver. The lows were handled by a plastic woofer with no center cap, while the high frequencies were transmitted through a small tweeter. The stepped front panel design allowed the speakers to be placed at different distances for better time-frequency coherence. The design received mixed reviews. The unusual shape of the front panel and two thin legs earned the speakers the nicknames pregnant penguins or pregnant robots. The brand's next model, the DM7, was released in 1977 and included another important element for B&W speakers, the tweeter, which was housed in a separate cabinet. In this model, the tweeter was housed in a metal enclosure that resembled a retro car headlight and was protected from physical damage by a grid structure. The mid-range and bass frequencies were reproduced by a 6-inch driver with a diaphragm made of proprietary polyimide fiber, and its work was supported by a passive radiator of similar diameter located below. In 1979, the first generation of B&W's top-of-the-range loudspeaker system, the 801, was released. This three-way system had each frequency range in a separate enclosure, and the mid-range and tweeter modules were protected by dust caps. This model required 3 years of development by the company. The 10-inch diameter plastic diaphragm bass driver was designed to provide smooth reproduction across the entire frequency range and to handle any amount of amplification. The mid-range was handled by a 4-inch driver with a polyamide fiber cone, while the treble was handled by a 26mm tweeter. Thanks to its carefully calibrated parameters, this loudspeaker was so realistic and accurate that it was used not only in home systems but also in professional recording studios. The success of the 801 brought Bowers and Wilkins significant funding, which John Bowers used to establish the Stenning Research Establishment in Stenning in 1981. The laboratory employed acoustic and electronic specialists to model, design and test new speaker designs. In 1987, the company released an improved version of the 801 Matrix, which utilized a matrix cabinet damping system. This system increased cabinet stiffness, reduced vibration and improved driver performance. In 1988, this loudspeaker was installed in Abbey Road Studios. Using advanced computer modeling techniques, B&W developed the CM1 compact loudspeaker in 1987. The design, created by Kenneth Grange, allowed the speaker to be installed either vertically or with a slight backward tilt. The enclosure, made of plastic, also used a matrix system to increase rigidity. That same year, designer John Dibb joined the company, who later created the appearance of many of the brand's iconic models. This was also the year the company's founder, John Bowers, passed away. In 1991, in honor of its 25th anniversary, the company launched the Silver Signature model. This speaker used silver conductors instead of copper, silver switching terminals, speaker coils, inductive coils in the crossover, and capacitors. The silver theme was also reflected in the design, with many chrome-plated elements, including a bass speaker grille and a ring that surrounds the phase inverter port. This model was a large two-way loudspeaker with drivers not previously used by the company. It features a 7-inch woofer with a phase inverter port and an aluminum tweeter borrowed from the 801 matrix, but without the phase alignment ring in front of the dome. The tweeter was placed in a separate shiny housing and slightly shifted relative to the vertical axis of the speaker system, which, according to the creators, allows to reduce the effect of diffraction from the edges of the housing of the bass driver. The upper part of the bass driver cabinet is slightly beveled to reduce distortion. Increased demand forced the company to open a new manufacturing facility in Silverdale in 1992. The Nautilus loudspeaker took Bowers and Wilkins engineers 5 years to develop and was launched in 1993. Inspired by natural forms, especially mollusks, the designers created a shell-like cabinet with rounded sides. This design almost completely eliminated the distortion introduced into the signal by the cabinet itself. This loudspeaker remains the flagship of the company's lineup even after several decades. In 1998, some of the technologies used in the original Nautilus were incorporated into the more affordable 800 series Nautilus. The company says the Nautilus design continues to inspire it to this day. The 800 series was further developed, in 2001, for the company's 35th anniversary. The signature 800 loudspeaker was released, based on the Nautilus 800 but with a reinforced cabinet and special colors. In 2005, the 800N series was replaced by the 800D, where the D stands for Diamond. In these speakers, the aluminum tweeters were replaced by synthetic diamond tweeters. For the company's 40th anniversary, the signature Diamond loudspeaker was introduced, combining elements of the past and modernity, with a design by Kenneth Grange. The first years of the new century saw the rise in popularity of home theater and portable digital sources. This is what B&W engineers focused on after moving to new offices on Dale Road in 2002 and opening a factory in Bradford, which was later relocated to Cleckheaton, West Yorkshire. In 2004, the company launched the PV1 series of compact home theater components. B&W won several awards for the innovative rounded design of the products, including a nearly spherical subwoofer. In 2007, as the iPod era began, the Zeppelin loudspeaker was introduced. This time, the company's designers drew inspiration not from nature, but from the technology of the past. The long shape, the functionality that gives access to thousands of tunes from the memory of a small player, and all this without the need to use a PC. Also in 2007, the company partnered with Jaguar, and since then Bowers and Wilkins speakers have been installed in some of the brand's cars. In 2014, B&W speakers began to be installed in Volvo cars. In 2010, the company introduced its first headphones, the P5 model, aimed at fans of portable sound, especially among users of Apple technology. The headphones came with wires with microphones and buttons for easy playback control and answering calls. With its metal exterior, leather trim, signature design and distinctive sound, the P5 could be categorized as a premium product. That same year, B&W released the MM1 desktop speakers for laptops and computers, and updated the 800D series speakers to the 800D2 version. In 2011, the company focused on portable sound, releasing the C2 in-ear headphones and the P3 overhead headphones, slightly smaller than the P5. Advances in wireless technology prompted B&W to update the Zeppelin model and release a version of the Zeppelin Air with Apple AirPlay support, as well as developing the Z2 speaker to expand the Zeppelin series range of products. In 2014, the company's lineup was updated with an improved version of the P5 headphones and its first wireless speaker, the T7. The following year, a wireless version of the headphones, the P5 Wireless, was unveiled. In 2015, B&W updated the 800D series, the third generation of speakers, equipped with a Diamon tweeter, replaced the traditional Kevlar mid-range drivers with cones made of the company's proprietary Continuum composite. The base drivers featured variable thickness aerofoil material, and the tweeter housing is now made of pure aluminum. In 2016, the company celebrated its 50th anniversary with the launch of the top-end 800D3 loudspeaker and P9 headphones. That same year, Bowers & Wilkins acquired EVA Automation, a California-based startup specializing in multi-room systems. In 2019, the company introduced its Formation series of multi-room components. These devices utilized proprietary communication technology that ensures minimal signal latency and high-quality data transmission. The Bowers & Wilkins store in Worthing was still operational as of 2020. Visitors could see the remains of the first assembly line that began the company's history. In February 2020, the company underwent a change of CEO. Bowers & Wilkins was no longer dependent from EVA Automation, but the partnership between the companies continued. Later, B&W became part of Sound United. This is a group of companies that included such names and brands as Denon, Boston Acoustics, Definitive Technology and so on. In 2022, the Sound United Group itself, along with its brands, was bought by Masimo Medical Corporation. This large company is considered one of the world's largest manufacturers of innovative medical devices. Fans of Bowers & Wilkins initially perceived such an event negatively, but later it turned out that the transition under the management of Masimo did not harm the development of the Bowers & Wilkins company. B&W continues to develop its line of classic loudspeakers, and the manufacturer is also rapidly developing its portable lineup and various devices for the domestic market. A lot of attention is paid to smart functions. Well, that's the end of the Bowers & Wilkins story. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, like and don't forget the thank you button, with the help of which you can support my channel financially. And this will really help the development of the channel. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.